Let's start with the big question here. Is there more room to run for Nvidia in the year ahead? And what would be the main catalyst that investors can anticipate would drive some of those returns? Patrick, I'll go to you first on this.
Yeah, so in 2024 for Nvidia, there's no doubt there's a lot more room to grow from a revenue and a profit dollar standpoint. I think the biggest question is that going to translate into share gains or is it priced in? What this growth is going to be driven by is the continued growth of the generative AI market, continued training, and then we're also going to see some big action on the inference side, as we saw in machine learning about 4 or 5 years ago when the growth went from training to inference. But no doubt there's more room here for NVIDIA.
Paul, let me get over to you. I referenced an Evercore note that came out a little while ago, really suggesting NVIDIA could go on to become the most valuable company in the entire stock market. Do you see that happening?
I think there's a chance for it to happen. You think about it, it's going to have to increase its market cap at least 100% from here. I think it could happen, but I would not be bold enough to make that claim yet. But I do concur with Patrick on his thesis and the bull-bear debate in the previous segment. I'm a bull supporter of the thesis on this particular stock. And when you ask about a catalyst, I look at it a little bit differently. The way I look at this is next year, the company, and I'm not stretching here, these are Wall Street consensus estimates, is to grow its earnings per share 70%. And it's trading at 24 times those earnings. And so it's trading at a PEG ratio of less than half. And then you take a look at the S&P 500. It's trading at a PEG ratio of about 2 times because the market's trading at about 20 times. And I don't think that the street is going to be right. And it should be bold enough to say that the EPS for the S&P 500 is going to grow 10%. I think it's going to be less than that. And so my relative comparison, NVIDIA to the S&P 500 valuation, is even more skewed in my favor. So yes, this is my best tech idea going into 2024.
Is 2024, just to add on and follow on that, is it a year where you anticipate that we'll see margin growth deceleration, which typically is one of the headwinds for the stock price action, especially for a company like Nvidia? Paul, I'll go to you on that.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah. So the way I look at it is this year, the company's supposed to earn about $20 per share. When I say this year, it's fiscal 25. That actually begins on February 1st of 24. The reason that the stock is probably consolidated since the summer began, after it had its big gap up on the first AI-driven quarter, is people probably believe that we go from $20 EPS this year to back to $3, which is the EPS in the prior period. And I just don't think that we'll have a deceleration that dramatic. Yes, we'll have a deceleration, but not that dramatic. And then people will say, wow, I think that growth rate is going to be robust for a couple of years, and it deserves a much higher PEG ratio and absolute PE ratio.